Sincere condolences to the families and the victims of this horrific act of violence, and to one of the surviving victims who's currently receiving medical treatment at this very moment. At this time, we're prepared to release the identities of the two individuals killed in the attack, and they are Cindy Ann Ewell. She's 54 years of age from Northeast Portland, and Stephen Matthew Forsythe, age 45, of West Lynn. The third victim, who is now listed in serious condition at OHSU, is a juvenile female named Christina Shevchenko. In addition, we're now able to share the identity of the suspect in this case. And his name is Jacob Tyler Roberts. He's born March 16, 1990. Based on all the evidence that we've gathered so far, it appears that he did die of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We're also prepared to release additional information about the suspect. During this attack, he was armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. The rifle was stolen yesterday from a person known to the suspect. At the time of the attack, he was wearing a load-bearing vest, not a bulletproof vest that was earlier reported by some outlets. He was also wearing a hockey-style face mask, and we've not yet been able to establish how many shots were fired during the attack, although we believe he was carrying several fully loaded magazines. At this time, we do not understand the motive of this attack, except to say that there's no apparent relationship between the suspect and his victims. After we identified the suspect, we executed a search warrant at his home, which is located at 7324 Southeast 84th Avenue in Portland. We also conducted a search warrant of his vehicle, which was a 1996 Volkswagen Jetta found at the Clackamas Town Center parking lot. Now, to protect the integrity of the investigation, we're not going to release the results of this search warrant at this particular time. Next, I want to describe to you how this event unfolded. At 3:29 p.m., we received multiple 911 calls reporting that we had an active shooter at the mall. Our first unit arrived 1 minute later at 3:30 p.m. Now, once on scene, officers initiate an active shooter protocol. And that's a technique that's developed to deal with precisely this type of threat. Law enforcement has learned from past tragedies throughout this country that we can't wait for SWAT teams, and teams need to deploy immediately. So we train and equipped each of our individual officers to form up in teams as they arrive and move immediately into engaging the threat wherever it might be. Now, this involves officers from different agencies being thrown together on a short notice, but everyone did an absolutely amazing job. I want to say that we were also well prepared for this incident because we had practice in active shooter techniques at the Clackamas Town Center this past year, practice just this for this type of situation. And now what I want to do is show you how we believe the suspect moved throughout during this incident. So, from the information that we have at this time, the suspect pulled his vehicle in front of Macy's, parked his car, exited, and moved in a rapid manner toward the food court. A lot of folks reported that he was running, moving quickly, left his car, opened fire in this general area. He ended up striking two victims that both died of their injuries. There were some medical staff and other people that rendered aid. Following this, the individual fled down this, along this corridor, out, down a back hallway, down to some stairs, this is actually on the upper level. He came down the stairs to the lower level And back in this corner is where he shot himself. Now, one of the things that we located a victim that was transported to OHSU. This is her. We believe she was up in this area, but was able to come out through the front Macy's, work her way down to near REI. That's where law enforcement officers met with her, and she was subsequently transported. Over the past 18 hours, many people have asked me, why were there so few victims during this incident? And first of all, just to make this really clear, is that with 2 people killed and the third one critically injured, all of us have to recognize that this was a heartbreaking tragedy by any standard. And many, many people will be affected by this terrible act of violence every day for the rest of their lives. And we should keep them in our thoughts and prayers. On the other hand, I think we all need to be very thankful that this incident wasn't much worse. And I believe it's a combination of factors, several factors that led to this outcome. And I want to just quickly go over those. One, based on the evidence we obtained, it appeared that the suspect's rifle did jam while he was attacking individuals in the food court. However, he was able to get the gun working again. Clackamas Town Center had a lockdown procedure for this type of incident, and they did a great job implementing that program. 3, a large number of police officers arrived on the scene very rapidly, curtailing the suspect's ability to move around the mall. And 4th, 10,000 people in the mall at one time kept a level head. They got themselves out of the mall. They helped others get out. And there are just a number of heroes that took the time to help people get out, whether it's in a wheelchair or a child. They helped a lot of people get out of that. And it was really about a whole group of people coming together to make a difference. So taking together, these 4 factors limited the suspect's access to potential victims and gave him less time to harm others. I'd like to close by thanking all of our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners for their extraordinary efforts. Several neighboring jurisdictions said, as you might have heard, they said, send everybody. And they were talking about all the patrol officers for their small city. Just send them out here to help. And this was even with, we already had determined the